Welcome back to Crosshairs Television. We are in Baltimore for the men's UCI C1 race from Charm City Cyclocross, which took place Saturday, October 6th in Druid Hill Park. The men's field was met with overcast skies and muddy conditions on a slightly modified Charm City track. More technical turns were added and the stretches of mud definitely altered the traditionally fast and flowy course. We have a lot to cover and are heading straight to the start where Kerry Werner, Curtis White, Matthew Below, Tobin Ortenblad, Michael Vandenham, and Jamie Driscoll get a fast start. Werner leads the field up the Mansion Hill climb with White, Below, Ortenblad, Cooper Wilsley, and the rest of the field in tow. The prologue start at Charm City has racers entering the course about midway through the front half of the track. As the field makes its way through the trees and towards the center of the venue, Werner continues to lead. In the early moments of the race, splits in the field are already happening with a group of 5 gaining a second or two off the front. The field heads across the drier high ground and descends into the mud bog created by a clogged storm drain system in Druid Hill Park. This section of the course will only get messier as the race progresses. The field begins its first proper lap and Ortenblad in the reddish kit is picking up positions around the softball field. As he slots into second place, we are about to get a good first look at the enormous flyover that awaits the leaders. But before we do, there's another mud pit that the riders must deal with. This is a huge runner-ride decision point. Watch Below on the left of the track in white, and then Vandenham also in white as they pick up big chunks of time by staying on the bike. First, Bolo, and then a bit delayed Vandenham comes wide around the outside to get the closest to the steps before dismounting. At the club row off camber, Below continues to lead as Vandenham in the white Canadian national champ kit moves around Curtis White in the green kit. He tries to make the move for the front on the inside of the 180, but Below is able to hold him off as they head to Mansion Hill. White and Werner slot into third and fourth position as a small gap forms behind. Out of view on the Mansion Hill, White puts in a big dig and jumps out to a solo lead. He has 3 seconds over Vandenham, Below, and Werner, with Driscoll and Ortenblad just a few seconds behind. Here's our first look at the Charm City steps. Another forced dismount on this track that really puts a premium on transitions and running skill. Back at the mud and White continues to lead. He has always had success at Charm City, winning the elite race a few years before. Vandenham continues to lead the chase. Ortenblad falls back a few seconds. The sand is not one of the forced dismounts we've talked about on this day. In the past, the run-ride decision in the sandpit has been the difference in big races at Charm City. Now, it's fast and compact. No decision to be made. Before the flyover, we pick up Werner and Bolo in second and third to illustrate the advantage Bolo has staying on the bike. The downside, of course, is he's coming out of this section with a muddier, heavier bike, but he picks up a few seconds each time, and that is crucial. If you notice where Werner picked up his bike, it was right after the pit exit. This meant that there was no advantage to going through the pit to keep on your bike longer. You would start running at the same place either way, and you would have to go through a bike exchange. Back at the stairs, and Werner makes a bid for the lead. He will now be first heading into the mud. Not a bad decision after the number of crashes and near misses that have happened in that spot throughout the day. Driscoll has moved up to third, Below has dropped to fifth. Werner and Vandenham go foot down in the mud as the top 5 hits the splash zone at speed. Back at the Mansion Hill and Below is back out front. Practically every lap has had a different leader in this race. White and Werner are second and third. Driscoll and Vandenham a few seconds farther back. Back to the sand and Werner is now back out front with White and Vandenham second and third. At the tree planter, Werner is able to ride the first part before dismounting. Up the finishing stretch the leaders go, with a lot of looks around to see how everyone is doing. Next time through the mud, and Vandenham now leads. White gets a little loose in turn 2 and needs to make some slight course modifications to keep on track. That tape and those stakes had been moved so many times during the day it's anybody's guess where the actual 3-meter track is supposed to be. Back at the tree planter, we get a better idea of how high the obstacle Werner, Ortblad, and others are riding throughout the race. Down the descent before the finishing climb, and we get a good look at another tricky puddle. If there's a sprint at the end, riders will first have to contend with this last tricky bit before the tarmac. Over halfway through the race, and there is still a sizable group at the front. Vandenham continues to lead as they ascend the flyover. The leaders shuffle once again, and now it's Driscoll's turn to take a pull at the front. Werner in second, and Bolo and Vandenham behind. White fights to reconnect to the group. Off the Mansion Hill, and Driscoll is using the power climb to test the group. Shout out there to Carrie Werner's mom, running with the GoPro. She put in a ton of miles during this race. At the stairs, Driscoll continues to lead. Keep an eye on Werner in second as they get to the top. A missed pedal drops him back a few spaces, but he recovers well. Driscoll continues to lead at the mud, with Werner tail gunning the leading group. White has dropped off the pace. Driscoll continues to lead as the group passes pit 1 and heads to the flyover. Vandenham makes the pass and then dismounts. Bolo continues to ride. Vandenham, being the savvy racer, changes course to cut off Bolo's riding lane, running in front of him and forcing the dismount. On the approach to Club Row, Werner makes a nice move on the inside to go to the front. Once around the bend, Werner puts in a big dig and stretches the leading group out. Vandenham and Bolo respond. Driscoll works to stay on. On the Mansion Hill, Bolo goes back in front and Werner slots into second. The power climb before pit 2 is the place everyone in the lead has tried to get away. Bolo is no different. Werner and Vandenham respond, while Driscoll continues to fight back to the group after every effort. Up the stairs and clean remounts for the leaders. Bolo, Vandenham, Werner, and Driscoll over the planter barrier. Eventually the big move has to happen. The question is from where? Or maybe it goes to a 4-up sprint. We're running out of laps with the bell coming up. And on cue, Bolo makes his move just under the finishing truss. Werner goes around Vandenham knowing this is a dangerous move he needs to shut down. Werner plays it safe, dismounting at the barriers, which allows Bolo to keep his lead. Werner knows he needs to shut it down now because Bolo is putting time into him just before the flyover. And it's no different this lap, as Bolo uses his on-bike skills to bolt ahead right at the steps. Werner continues to dig as Bolo tries to capitalize on his well-timed move. At Club Row, Kerry is able to close the gap and get back onto Bolo's wheel. He tries to make the pass around the 180 but is rebuffed. Bolo shoots ahead and Werner fights back on. And on the Mansion Hill, Werner makes his move, passing Bolo. At the power climb, Werner puts in another dig and gets 2 seconds on Bolo. At the stairs, he has added another second, and that's all he needs. Werner is able to keep the advantage and take his first ever C1 here at Charm City Cyclocross. In the sprint for third, Driscoll is able to outsprint Vandenham at the line.
Man, so, you know, in the past, coming up into the World Cups, it was a big test for me because Steven was there and, you know, he's always been the top guy. So coming into those races, it was always kind of to see where I was in comparison to him. And the racing was close, so I was excited about that. And then, you know, I hit the World Cups pretty good. Had a great day the last day of Jingle. And then came here, and this was kind of the win today for me was a big kind of weight on off my shoulders. I've never gotten to see one win before, so kind of with Steven being out and like the top, well, the whole podium just opening up, you know, it was kind of just like to be chill and relaxed and you know, be there at the end, and so that was the game plan coming into today.
He had the French rider who was really strong in the muddy sections, especially going up to the flyover. It looks like that was kind of his move.
Man.
But it looked like, you know, you showed a lot of maturity out there to say, okay, he's stronger than me there, I need to make this up somewhere else.
Yeah, coming into the flyover, that mud bog there, he was putting a good 5 bike lengths on me because he would ride into it. And man, I tried it once and I made it, but I'm not sure that I went any faster than running, and holy crap, it put me in the box. So last lap, he went on the attack with like 1.5 laps to go, and then he sent it into that thing in the lead, and I was just like, oh God, you know, I tried to maintain composure, and then I brought it back on some of the turns right after that, and then reconnected, and then just kind of slotted right in front of him at the top of the climb on the Mansion Hill, and then there's a couple turns after that. I got like a couple bike lengths and then just gritted my teeth and hung on as best I could. It was close though. I mean, the whole second half of the lap, I was like 1 or 2 spots I dabbed a foot. It was like 3 seconds, then it was 5, then it was back to 4, so it was super close. And I mean, just like the slightest little thing could have been the game changer.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. I saw that move at the top, and you got a nice jump on him. But then, yeah, even coming up the backside stairs, the big like patio stairs, it seemed like a little difficulty clipping back in, which it seems like you were struggling with all race long.
Yeah, well, so I didn't think of that in pre-ride, and I didn't run spikes, so I would pivot off that bottom corner and slip a toe every lap, and then I don't know if mud was just building up, and then one lap I slipped a pedal and lost a spot or two, so that was definitely a struggle for me today. I think running spikes will help a little bit more tomorrow.
You know, us here in the Mid-Atlantic, we look at Charm City sort of as our premier race. I know it's one that you've done for years. You're saying this is your first C1, but getting it here, does it mean more? I know you've done this race a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was just riding back to the truck after the race to get a fresh kit, and you know, passed a couple of people that were like Philly Strong and PA Pride and stuff. So it's, you know, I grew up racing the Mid-Atlantic Super Series mountain bike calendar, and so like, you know, I think a decent amount of people know me and know that I'm at least from PA. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have made it happen here and have so many people be stoked about it.